Yeah, Zora Pups, it's time for a garden update. Okay, I'll start on it. All right, so it's May 7th, Friday. I have been out of town a lot lately, so I haven't had the chance to do a lot of stuff here. But I've started off over here. This is kind of where my seedling staging zone is. This was full the other day, and I filled this up mostly with just seedlings, transplants. So I have tons of seedlings over here. Marigolds, catnips. There's lots of random flowers and peppers and some tomatoes and a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. This section over here is a lot of herbs, and there's still a lot of things I can fill in. I'm trying to grow some new pecan trees this year. Got a few other things I need to plant, but this is just kind of I'll fill in the blanks over here because there's lots of empty pots, but I have plenty of things I can fill it in, but that's not the priority right now. Mushrooms, few things in process. There's probably a couple going on in here, but these are mostly spent. Once they start going bad, they get like green mold and stuff, and that's usually when I toss them. These ones were a little newer, so these are probably more inclined to have mushrooms growing, like these little guys right here. Any others in here, it might be, I need to rinse out the water in here, so usually I'll flush out these bags with water, just put this in here, then rinse the water into my compost piles. So I'll just try to reuse the mushroom water, but some of these are not looking so hot. What is that weird mold right there? That one fell over, whatever, I'll get it later. Over here is seedlings. I'm gonna kind of stick with the right side for now of the yard, and then I'll go to the main garden. But these seedlings are mostly transplants out of one section of my garden, other than these guys. These were seeds that I need to get planted today or tomorrow. These guys are not looking so good just because they just got transplanted, but usually they can bounce back like these guys. So we'll see how they do. But all these were just transplanted today. Lots of lime basil, marigolds, okra, marigolds, other types of basil, a few other things, melon varieties, and tomatoes and stuff over here. So lots of stuff going on over here. Here is my shredded compost. This is a base mix for my compost. So this is shredded leaves running through my leaf shredder, mixed with lots of Starbucks coffee, which these are all bags of coffee from Starbucks, and then the old shredded mushroom compost blocks. So I'll break these up and then just mix up leaves, mushroom compost blocks, and coffee for my base mulch, and I'll use that as a top dressing here soon for the garden in many areas. And then I'll also use it for my compost. So this section, I have sage, I have hops. Hops are all up on the top of this now. So it is a nice day. There is coriander, which was cilantro, now seeding over here, over there, over there, over there. So more coriander, but the hops are doing really good this year, it looks like. I added a little bit of a section, so they're about 3 feet taller this year, and that guy's trying to reach the top of the pole. We'll see if he can make it. But definitely lots of hops. If you take a quick gander right there, they're all the little buds coming out. Anyways, so hops are doing pretty good. I have a whole bunch of sunflowers growing right here, which I do like sunflowers growing, but at some point I'm going to have to get these poles out of here, because once we get into the hot part of the summer, I'm going to build a canopy structure with these poles and these fittings in that black thing right there, which are flat canopy fittings. So if you've watched my other garden videos like last year, I have a flat canopy I'll put over the garden once it gets hot. We're not there yet. Right now is just milk the sun and the rain for all it's worth. Over here is where I put all my dead plants last year, and then I ran them over with a lawnmower, and that section where I was like, hey, look at all the free seedlings. There's marigold everywhere, basil, there's okra. I find a few broccoli plants in here. There's occasional tomatoes, but I can continue harvesting transplants out of this zone endlessly. Basically, it's just like tons and tons of basil, lots of lime basil, lots of holy basil, some regular basil, but lime basil is always one of my favorites, so it's doing really well. I need to mow here also, and this is also one of my least favorite weeds in the yard. I rip these up sight immediately when I see them. Queen Anne's lace, they're the crap that sticks to your shoelaces. I hate them, and they get stuck in my cat fur because I have long-haired cats, so I rip them up with a vengeance every time I see him. Zora. So Zora's like excited. She's like, Dad's doing stuff in the yard. So over here, these just are sunflowers that went out of control. I might leave them, I might not. I will play it by ear. I usually thin them out at least a little bit. But this section is already like so like overgrown. But I mean, this is the hottest part of the summer sometimes too. So maybe I'll thin it out a little bit, but maybe just let the sunflowers grow here. Because if there's anywhere to grow them in the garden, it's the hot part of the garden where other things struggle to grow. And sunflowers do not struggle to grow. They get so big, so quick, that I'm like, I have to rip them up because I don't want them fighting my peppers. They'll take up a huge amount of room and space. So while I do love sunflowers, they will grow anywhere in the garden. Not in the garden. They'll grow anywhere in the yard. So I don't need them in the garden because this is where I want to grow my food and stuff. I don't need invasive resource-sucking plants, even though they produce good flowers for bees and stuff. Anyways, so peppers are doing good. There's definitely some peppers in here. That was mainly what this section was, and I scattered seeds everywhere. A majority of this are weeds, but you got tomatillos here. Here's another sunflower growing right next to my plant, so he's gone because I don't want him fighting. They will override those plants. Here's a tomato growing randomly, another tomato growing randomly, a bunch of weeds I have to pick up, and that's what I'm about to start doing. So I have tons of weeds to pick up. Tomatoes are looking really good in the most part. There's a couple plants here that are showing some signs of disease down here at the bottom. It has been an incredible amount of water, so you can get root rot here sometimes. I've had it where my garden drowned like one year basically from so much rain, and it's one reason why I designed my garden the way it does, so it's raised beds with water channels to flow around. But still, what the heck is that? So sometimes you have to watch out because you might end up with infestations of little bugs and rip them out immediately, get them out of the garden. So, and this one, instead of just throwing it into a compost pile, he's getting thrown into the fire pit because I do not like infestations in the garden. So look at this thing up close, infested with little bugs. They are, I don't think those are ladybugs. That would suck if it was just like, burn the whole thing of ladybugs. But usually I'll give them a chance to kind of migrate out of there, but that is how quickly they go. And I'm about to have some squash bugs and stuff, but that's a good thing. Invasive weeds, I burn. I don't put them in my compost pile. But anyways, so watermelon over here is doing pretty good on a few of them, but that one looks like it's dying. That one looks like it's dying. Probably water related, waterlogged, I'm not sure. Cantaloupes are right here. I got a lot of grass sprouts I need to rip out of here. Lots of other random weeds. But there's definitely some cucumbers growing on this section. There's one that's right there, so there's a cucumber. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But anyways, I'll try to keep moving. So I'm just kind of rambling. I have some eggplant I need to plant. Might need to spray them off with neem oil before I get them in the ground. I need to rip this up because I have a bunch of weeds going over here. Squash is doing crazy. I mean, look at these squash. They're this tall as the tomato cages. There's yellow squash everywhere in here, so plenty of squash to pick already. And I picked a bucket full yesterday. And so I'll just walk around and finish up the garden and kind of shut it down because I got a lot to do. I'm just wasting time discussing it. But anyways, so what I plan to do still over here in this whole garden is after I rip up the weeds, I'll see if I can throw down newspaper. If not, I'm just going to throw down those piles of mulch that are back there. There's two piles of mulch, one for this one for that one, and these guys will get wood mulch. This section will not get wood mulch because it washes out if it gets too tall, and then it will clog the fence line. So I try to just rip out the weeds and then throw down the shredded leaf mulch over there. And otherwise, I was rotating the compost. I need to dig this stuff up and put it in some buckets so I can transfer it, and then transfer this into buckets because I think this one's ready. This one still needs to go. And then I need to rotate the big compost bucket, which has a lot of stuff in here. Whew. Time to cover that up. I was letting those guys, I was hoping pollinators would take over that section, but that is a lot of flies. Anyways, so garden's looking good, totally green, not really seeing much disease. A bunch of potatoes growing down here. I planted some more potatoes over here. We'll see how they go. But I have tomato, just randomly growing. But I also see a bunch of weeds almost fully seeded. So, and this guy sucks because you have to rip him up right at the base. Holds on real tight. And then I throw weeds usually in buckets, but there's some that I'm not going to put in the compost piles. But anyways, this is like the staging compost pile. I've put everything in here. Otherwise, I need to finish up and get a move on. So over here I got some stuff like I planted celery and that's growing. And so this is what happens if you cut the bottom off celery and let it grow. Tomatoes, marigold, other plants all over. Anyways, so there's a lot going on and I need to get to work. So, and some more mushrooms. I'll close it out with that because there's probably a few in here, but I should have harvested those. That's not looking so pleasant. That one's a little better, but I need to rinse these bags out also because it's breeding flies and shit like that. So got to cycle through the water. It's just like nasty stagnant water if I don't rinse out the bags. But yeah, anyways, and then asparagus and catnip. Where are my kitties? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's current garden update. So adios. I got a lot of work to do.